Hey guys, welcome to Crunch Time. It's episode 8. A lot of exciting stuff going on right now. Big news, Kobe Bryant is retiring at the end of the year. Wrote a great letter for the Players Tribune, which is Derek Jeter's publication. And Greg, how do you feel about Kobe retiring right now?
It's maybe 2 years too late. With all the injuries that he's had over the last 2.5 years, you've kind of seen his game dwindle. But at the end of the day, we're talking about Kobe Bryant. He's, in our generation, he's probably been, one of the top 3 players that you think of, behind LeBron and, maybe the end of Michael. But it's kind of sad to see, but at the same time, at 37 and after all those injuries, I think it's time for him to go. And I think he's doing the right thing. He's kind of doing that farewell tour that Derek and Mo did. So here we go. It'll be the end of an era. But
do you think he wanted to do it now, or do you think that he kind of saw the way he was playing and he didn't want to go out with people questioning his game, and they were just like, because right now it's a farewell tour. Now it's, this is the Derek Jeter farewell tour where Derek was hitting 220 at the end of his career, but nobody cared because he was Derek Jeter and it was the last time I was going to see him play. Do you think that had a factor in anything?
Yeah, I think so. You got to think about it. Kobe tears his ACL or his Achilles, and he doesn't want to go out on that, so he comes back for another year. He tears his knee. He doesn't want to go out on that, and now he's coming back. And he said it. He said it in the interview the other day. It's like his mind, his heart wants to give it everything, but his body just can't give 48 minutes. He can't give the same amount of energy in a game that he could, 10, 12, 15 years ago. So, it's the age-old tale. Is the mind doesn't want to go, the heart doesn't want to go, but the body's saying, "Hey, look, it's time to go."
Yeah. See, now, Greg, you're the same age as me. We grew up watching Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan. Those were the guys for us. Maybe Magic not so much because he's on tail end, but Michael was our guy. And Kevin Durant came out today and said that, or came out this week and said that Kobe Bryant was his guy. That was his Michael Jordan. Do you feel like comparison is the same? Or, I guess for him saying that, it is, what he looked to. That's who he was idolizing when he was a child, just like we did when Michael was there.
Yeah, it's got to be the giving of the torch almost. I was listening actually to LeBron talk, and he said that before he went to Miami and before he made his decision, he went and met with Kobe in LA and had a sit down with him and to see if he was ready to play with him. If not, but it was almost as a respect thing. Like, sure. If he was going to Miami, he wanted to sit down with Kobe first to kind of, say, hey, I'm coming to you first because you're the best in the game and I idolize you before I move on to someplace else. So I think you see a lot of players see Kobe as, the way Kobe probably saw Jordan.
Yeah.
So definitely, it was a good thing by Kevin.
Kobe felt the same way about Jordan, and they're very similar. Their games are very similar in the way they play, and their attitudes are very similar. A lot of people like the fact that Kobe can't play anymore. He just looks, it's kind of like biting him in the ass for all the trash talking he's been doing over the years. But now it doesn't matter because it's a farewell tour, and everybody loves the guy. So the main question I have for you tonight is Kobe in your top 10 of greatest players of all time? And if so, where does he rank?
Well, he's definitely in my top 10. And that's not just because I, watched him his entire career. I'm a history guru. I like looking at the entire game, but I definitely got Kobe in my top 10. List-wise, if you want to do a list, because we love lists.
We do.
Kobe, I got Kobe at number 9 all time.
Okay.
You want to hear the list?
I do, yeah.
You want to hear the list? All right.
I want to hear the official
Greg Schroeder list.
Yes.
All right. We're starting off early tonight, so for all the fans out there, it's good time to tune in.
Yes.
Again, Michael Jordan, my all-time great. I always have him as number 1. I got Bill Russell at number 2, the greatest champion of all time. I got Magic Johnson. Man Run Showtime.
Sure.
I got Larry Bird number 4. I got Wilt Chamberlain number 5. I mean, you can't go wrong with Wilt. Oscar Robertson number 5. I mean, the man averaged a triple-double for an entire season. That's never been even close to. So he's got to be up there
when you think about it.
Right. I got the tall man and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, if you lead the league with the all-time scorer all time, you got to be on the top 10 list.
Of course.
I actually got LeBron at number 8, and that's just because I think he's a freak of nature. Maybe it's a little biased because, I've been able to watch his entire career, but I think he's the closest thing that we've ever seen to, Oscar Robertson, with that averaging a triple-double. And, I mean, he's basically like Magic Johnson, just a little bit bigger. I got Kobe at 9, and then I got Tim Duncan. I mean, I think Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time. The man has won 5 NBA championships, so, that's my top 10.
I don't disagree with much of the top 10. There's a few players that I would have maybe substituted in, but that's the problem with substituting guys in is who do you take out? For me, Shaquille O'Neal is probably the best center, or at least the most dominant center. For a lot of years, dominant. I mean, he won championships with Kobe, but he was the MVP of those teams. I mean, he was the player. It wasn't Kobe back in the day. He was a dominant player for a lot of years. He would have been on my list. LeBron James for me, I'm a LeBron guy. So I like LeBron on the list. I don't know if he's a before Kobe. I don't know. And then Kobe for me is the second best scorer of all time, behind Michael Jordan. In just the sense of scoring more points, scored 81 points. I mean, against the Toronto Raptors, I don't care. It's an NBA team. That just a great accomplishment. 18 for 20 from the free throw line that night. Just an unbelievable performance from that guy, and he's the second best scorer of all time. And then the other, everything else I kind of agree with. Bird a little high on that list for me. And I liked Oscar Robertson because nobody talks about Oscar Robinson, but Oscar Robinson it is what LeBron James is now, but only to a complete different degree. So, I agree with the list for the most part. Kobe, good for him, gets to leave. Not necessarily on his own terms because he just looks, he looked terrible last night, shot 7 for 29 or something like that, which is unbelievably bad. But the Sixers, on the other hand, got their first win. And so we thought that the Golden State, well, at least I thought the Golden State was going to lose first, and Philadelphia was going to before Philadelphia won. But a big win last night against the Lakers. How do you think? Do you think they have a shot at the playoffs now?
The Philadelphia 76ers?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're going to come back.
I don't know, man. Maybe Okafor's got a fighting chance. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Right.
No, I do not see Philadelphia as a playoff team.
No.
Talk about a team that has completely they put all their chips into their team almost became an investment firm.
Yes.
With sending guys away and trying to accumulate all these draft picks as investment chips, and it just hasn't panned out. I mean, Joel Embiid is still hurt. Nerlens Noel and Okafor don't play well on the same team or on the same time, and they have no point guard. So I mean, nothing's worked out for them. Nothing has been beneficial for them as far as this season goes.
I mean, listen, this league is about stars. You need a star. You can have all the young guys you want. You can have all the youth. You can do all the analytics you want, but you need a star. You need somebody who's going to control your game, control your tempo, and move the ball up and down the court and make shots. That's what you need. The 76ers don't have that.
It just shows you too that not everybody that gets drafted 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is going to be a star in this league.
Oh.
It's crazy to think that just because you're a great player at the age of 18, 19 years old and you have a great college career, that means nothing when you're coming in to play with the best players in the world, and they just it just hasn't happened for them.
Of course. Sam Bowie. Same thing.
Yeah, right.
So Golden State 19-0, playing Charlotte tonight. His Steph Curry's dad, Dell, is getting honored by the Charlotte Hornets tonight. When do these guys lose?
I don't know. I don't know. And the more and more I watch them, the more and more I don't even know how to defend them. Because small ball works, but then some of their small guys play bigger and bigger every night. I mean, Draymond Green is turned into probably the most valuable player in the league because what he does defensively and what he actually does offensively, being able to stretch out the defense, only helps Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. So I have no idea when they're going to lose. It's really remarkable what we're seeing right now.
I mean, Draymond Green for me is like a mini LeBron James. Plays hard, spreads the floor. Listen, he's not LeBron James. I understand that, but what he does for that team and spreading out those guys and helping those other guys get shots, and he plays defense. He's a great addition to that team. And they're all young. They're all they're all young. They have they have short contracts. I mean, you got Steph Curry for a deal. I mean, the guy makes 4 years, $44 million because they thought that his ankles weren't going to hold up. I mean, yeah, you're going to have to pay the guy, but right now you're doing what Seattle Seahawks did. You have Russell Wilson for the first 4 years of his deal for nothing, and you're in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. So, the Golden State Warriors just have the formula for everything they need to do. When they need to play big, they play big. When they need to make shots. And I heard a good story the other day is they've realized that, which it seems ridiculous to me, they've realized that 3-pointers count more than 2-pointers, which sounds crazy to me because why wouldn't everybody just figure that out? But if you can consistently shoot 3-pointers as well as everyone else is shooting 2-pointers, you can score more points than the other team. I don't understand why we haven't figured that out earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it's what Steve Kerr has been able to do. Because, you look at it, Mark Jackson.
Whoa. You mean Luke Walton?
Well, I'll get into that in a second. Right, but honestly, I feel like the moxie of this team is really Steve Kerr. I mean, Steve Kerr, when you saw him last year, he's calm, cool, and collective on the sideline. He's got a smile on his face, and he's basically letting his players play. And I think that has transcended in the last couple of years, where, he's okay with Steph Curry launching up the shots that he does because he has trust in him. Sure. He's okay with Klay Thompson, being the guy one night. He's okay with Draymond Green taking threes. And going back to Draymond Green, I mean, what a role he was able to step into. A second-round pick. David Lee is playing in front of him, who, honestly is a pretty good player. Yeah. He's a little limited defensively, but, he's pretty creative on the offensive side. He gets hurt in training camp. Draymond Green steps right in, and he improves his field goal percentage, his 3-point shot in the matter of like 6 weeks. I mean, it was unbelievable the transformation he's made, and now he's just a lights out player.
If you play on that team, you got to be better, and those guys make you better. Klay Thompson,
they really do.
They just make you play better. It's the Jordan syndrome. I'm not saying I compare everybody to somebody else. I'm not saying Steph Curry is Michael Jordan, but a key to being a great player is that you make your team better. Scottie Pippen was a great player. Scottie Pippen was a good player. Michael Jordan made him great.
Sure.
I don't think that if Scottie Pippen went to the Portland Trailblazers earlier in his career when he left Jordan, that he would have been as great as he was playing with Michael. And that's what Steph Curry does to the other guys on his team. He makes them better. Steve Kerr knows all about it. Steve Kerr has a game-winning shot famous because of Michael Jordan. That's what Steve Kerr and that's what Stephen Curry does to this team.
You love that game-winning shot. You love that game-winning shot, that Steve Kerr. Just because it was the one time Michael actually passed the ball.
That was my dream right there. That was everything I wanted.
You know what? I just want to bring something up because you brought up Luke Walton. So the NBA the other day announced the coach of the month, who happens to be Luke Walton. The team's 19-0. But according to the NBA, those 19 wins are going to be associated with Steve Kerr because Luke Walton's not an interim coach. He's just coaching the team while Steve's out with his back injury. But Luke Walton technically is 0-0, and he was the coach of the month for November. How funny is that?
As a head coach, Luke Walton has won 0 games and lost 0 games.
Right, I know.
But he's won coach of the month.
Exactly. But he's the best coach in the league.
So let's change gears. Let's go over to football. I want to talk about the NFC East, but I don't want to talk about it right now because it's a disaster. It's a garbage. It's a dumpster fire. I can't even describe to you how I feel about the NFC East. Romo goes down. The Cowboys are done, or are they? Because the Giants look even worse. The Redskins look like they're the second coming. And next week they'll probably lose by 40. I will talk about that later. My first question for you is, Matt Hasselbeck for the Indianapolis Colts is undefeated. Okay? Andrew Luck gets healthy. You're going into a playoff push. Do you put him back in?
What? Hasselbeck's 4-0 or 5-0?
I believe it's 4.
4-0. This is the only thing that I have to say is because
let's say he wins 2 more games while Andrew Luck is out, and then now he's 6-0 coming into, you're going into what, the final 2 or 3 games of the season, and you're pushing for the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, we have to reevaluate what Matt Hasselbeck has actually done. Yes, he's 4-0, but let's look at the teams that he's actually beaten, because he beat Tampa Bay, he beat Jacksonville, he beat Tennessee, and he beat Houston when Houston wasn't the Houston they are now.
Yes.
That was earlier in the season when Houston started off, 1-3 or 1-4, whatever they were. So let's really be honest that 4-0, it's kind of misconstrued because they haven't really played anybody with a winning record. With that said, I'm always the believer that you go back to the starting quarterback. You should not lose your job because you got hurt. I know it happened in New England with Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady. I know it happened in San Francisco with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. But at the end of the day, Andrew Luck is a top 5 quarterback in this league. He did beat Denver when Denver was playing at their best earlier in the year. So I would still go back with Luck.
So here's how I would take the situation. If Andrew Luck is ready to play, I would suit him up, and I would say that he is probable or questionable, and just have him on the sideline. He's there. Maybe we put him in, maybe we don't, and we start Matt Hasselbeck. And then if something bad happens, we bring in Andrew Luck. The game after that, I don't know. I mean, if the guy goes out there and throws 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and you're winning games, I go with the hot hand. I want to win ball games, and I want to go to the playoffs. I always have the option of putting Andrew Luck in. I mean, is it going to hurt the guy's confidence if I don't put him in? I don't know, but I don't think Andrew Luck is like that. I don't think he's built like that player. But if you're winning games with a hot hand, why not stick with it?
Yeah, but when you're the number 1 overall pick, when you're the quarterback, when you're the beard of the team, the face of the team, it's Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. Name another guy that on the Indianapolis Colts besides Matt Hasselbeck. It's not like he's surrounded with a lot of talent. We've had this conversation before. They went out and they picked up some older players that they thought they would be able to plug in, but it really comes down to the offensive line, no run game, and really the defense hasn't played that well. So to me, you still got to go with Andrew Luck.
Okay. So now on that same note, you got to go back to the starter, right? So now what do you do if you're the Denver Broncos? Brock Osweiler has won 2 games. He beat Tom Brady, which sounds ridiculous to me. They beat the undefeated Patriots with Brock Osweiler, and Peyton Manning is getting healthy. Peyton Manning gets healthy. What do you do?
It's a little different. It's a little different with the Peyton Manning situation because even, with the plantar fascia that he has, he's always going to be immobile. I mean, he's not a mobile guy to begin with, but with the plantar fascia, it's never going to completely heal. And then on top of the fact that he's throwing the ball with, he's told us that he can't feel the football in his hand. So we've seen him week in and week out become worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. We're thinking that with enough rest, Andrew Luck can come back and play at a high level. But I think the time over the course of the season, we've seen Peyton Manning decline. And if Brock Osweiler gives them the best chance to win, because again, there's two different teams. Denver does have stars. They do have a good running game, and they have a defense that can carry them. Where I think with Indianapolis, Andrew Luck gives them the best chance to win. Denver, their other attributes may give them the best chance to win. So as much as I want to see Peyton Manning on the field, he may be a liability with that leg issue, with the neck, causing him not to, feel in the hand as he throws.
Yeah, but here's my thing. He's Peyton Manning. Like, I know that at some point the star is going to fizzle and he's going to ride off into the sunset somewhere. But if you're Gary Kubiak, you're going to bench Peyton Manning. Like, you're the guy that ended Peyton Manning's career. And yes, Peyton Manning is the guy who ended his own career because he's not playing the way he used to. But like, how do you, this is the same thing that Joe Girardi, I go back to Jeter. Do you not play Derek Jeter at shortstop, even though he's healthy enough to play there?
Yeah, Denver's it's a tricky situation because what Peyton Manning brings to the team, at this point is his knowledge. He's able to see different defenses and then he's able to attack them. But the problem is that he's not throwing a good ball. I mean, one of Peyton's, biggest faults was always in bad weather is that he wasn't able to throw a tight spiral. So the ball always came out almost as like a duck.
Yeah.
He also had timing plays. The offense in Denver has completely changed under Gary Kubiak. They don't run as many short passing game. There's not those screens that that wide receiver almost pick play that they became pretty good with under John Fox. Gary Kubiak wants to have a strong defense. He wants to run the ball. He wants to throw in two tight ends. And actually, Brock Osweiler, he runs that offense a lot better than Peyton was. So, we'll have to see. We're really gonna have to see how the AFC pans out. But first, I mean, Peyton's got to come back. He's got to be healthy. I mean, he was walking around in a walking boot last week. So
yeah, that's just got to be. I'm thinking about more of the decision of how it's going to be to bench Peyton Manning. I mean, it just seems it seems ridiculous to me, and not ridiculous, but it just seems like you don't want to see your Peyton Manning is one of my favorite players of all time, and to see him like this is just it's crazy right now, but.
That's when Gary Kubiak's just got to get on the phone and be like, "Hey, John Elway, can you make this call for me? Because it'll go over a lot better coming from you than me."
Yeah, so. John will make that call too.
John will too. I know.
All right, so let's finish with the dumpster fire that is the NFC East, and I'll ask one simple question because there's really nothing great to talk about here. Who wins this division?
I don't know. I mean, Thanksgiving started so great for me. Philly gets blown out. Romo goes down again after throwing 2 pick sixes.
Oh my God.
And then knowing that we got to play the Redskins on Sunday, I was like, oh, this is a shoo-in. I was like, we're gonna walk away with this. But Peyton threw his own 3 interceptions. I really don't know. And as a Giants fan, it's really getting harder and harder to watch. Probably knowing that this is Tom Coughlin's last season. And once again, it's a struggle. I mean, you think that you have the best quarterback in the conference. You got one of the best young receivers the game, has, and we're losing. So I'm still going to stick with the Giants, even though they have the hardest record out of all 4 teams. But, Philadelphia, is completely done. I can't put any stock in the Cowboys without Romo. And I just feel like we're eventually going to be able to take over the Redskins. I don't know, but I'm going with the Giants.
I mean, does this go 7-9? Does that win this division?
I mean, at this point, it could. I mean, You know, the Giants are 5-6. I mean, the 5 remaining games are tough. I mean, we got to play the Jets, we got to play the Dolphins, we got to play Carolina. I mean, we got a tough schedule. So
I know, yeah. And the only bright spot in that offense right now is Odell Beckham. I mean,
what a catch.
Without him, they're not doing anything. You know, they're not running the ball well. They're not passing the ball well. I mean, there's something's got to give there. I think it's Coughlin's last year, and you got to move on. You know, freshen it up a little bit, help Eli out a little more. But you know, I don't even want to. You know, Cowboys still have a shot, which sounds ridiculous to me, and they're not putting Tony Romo on the IR because they think they might have a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, mathematically, they're still alive. They're still alive.
Because nobody wants to win.
Nobody wants to win.
All right, Greg, as always, great time on Crunch Time here tonight, and I'll see you next week.
All right, man. Shaquille